In this video, I want to give you the key takeaways that you need to understand first in order to set you up for success. Getting started is always the hardest part, and there are so many things to worry about. What camera should you use? What lens should you use? Where should you put the camera? How do you set up the lights? What kind of lights? What should you say? How should you present? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. As a professional videographer and filmmaker, I have had countless experiences recording talent, so I know exactly what to avoid in order to set you up for success. So the first issue that we want to talk about is the fear of getting on camera. Listen, it can be scary. I get it. I understand, even for myself, it can be a scary thing. You turn on the camera, you start wondering, man, how do I look? How do I sound? I mean, literally, it took me over a year to quote unquote find my voice. I didn't know how I was talking. I didn't know how, was I being natural? Was I not being natural? I literally would create videos and send them to my close friends and family and say, hey, does this look like me? Does this sound like me? Does this look like I'm being weird or something? Because I just couldn't tell. We have these weird blinders when it comes to evaluating our own content. It's like all of a sudden, we just can't see straight. So that's normal, first and foremost. The second thing is that, yes, you are going to have to overcome that fear. Now, the good news is you can. And trust me when I say this, I had a big fear of recording on camera. I would get nervous. I would forget what I'm saying. I would feel like I'm not natural. All of a sudden, it's like you turn on the camera and your mind just goes blank. And you're like, what do I say? How do I say it? How am I even looking? Like, what's even happening right now? You get frustrated, you turn off the camera, you're like, man, forget this, I'm not doing this. I have done that countless times. But just like anything, as you continue to practice, you will grow more comfortable and it will become like a muscle that you exercise. And how important is that going to be for your business when you exercise that? It's going to be huge. So it is going to be something you're going to have to work towards. There may be some of you that are like, I have no problems with that at all. I just turn on the camera, I get going, I'm good, I love it, I love being on camera. That's great. But for a large majority of us, there's many of us that are introverted, that feel awkward, that stumble over our words, our thoughts. We don't know exactly what we're saying, but we want to do it. And for those people, I'm going to tell you this, stick with it. Continue to push yourself, continue to grow in this area because I promise you, it will be worth it. So let's talk a little bit about etiquette on talking on camera. You have to understand that when presenting on camera, everything has to be a little more exaggerated. Now, obviously, I don't roll around talking to my friends like this. I mean, unless I get really excited, sometimes I do. But I don't usually talk to people in the live environment the same way that I do when I'm presenting on camera. The way that you need to approach the camera is you have to level it up a little bit. And the reason why is because you're speaking to a camera. There's a still frame. Nothing is moving. People are just focused on you. So you have to have some energy. You have to present and use voice fluctuation and things like that to be able to add a little bit extra because it kind of tones it down when it's on video. So immediately you're going to feel like, man, I'm being fake. I feel weird doing this. Trust me, first of all, you'll get used to it. And second of all, it's going to make a big difference when you're presenting on camera. They do not want to listen to somebody who is not interested in what they're supposed to be interested in. It's like, hey, if this guy doesn't even care what he's saying, then I don't care what he's saying. So you have to level it up a little bit. You got to get a little excited. You got to get a little animated. It's okay. You're not being fake. It's normal. It's all a part of it. Another question that's quite common is, what do you do with your hands? Now, if you're anything like me, it's kind of like I think I was raised in an Italian family. Everything's with the hands, it's like talking with the hands. Hey, forget about it, right? Your hands are actually a tool. Think about it like this. There was a study that was done on politicians that spoke using their hands. It was like some study that correlated the movement of the hands to the speech that was given and relating it to its effectiveness. And those that had more hand movement were more effective at communicating to their audience. Your hands are a form of communication. When you're explaining something, is it really big or was it really small? Or are you focusing or is it tense? These are all things that can help you deliver your message and communicate. And sometimes it can feel awkward Where do you put your hands? Do you put them by your side? Do you hold them? Do you do the corporate thing where you're kind of like doing the Illuminati triangle or whatever it is, right? Like everybody has all these different kind of methods. When presenting on camera, I don't think it's as important as those kind of seminars and things. I think it's a different environment. I think natural is what wins. So try to use your hands. Try to figure out hand movements and gestures that come natural to you. All right, so one of the biggest things that trips most people up is what content to record, right? You're all excited, you're gonna record a video, you're like, man, I'm ready to do this, I've mustered up the courage, I'm ready to deliver this message. I go and I set up the camera, I use all the tips that Jesse gave me, it's looking nice, it's looking beautiful, let's go, press record. What do I say? I know, trust me, I've been there. Sometimes you could be so ready and so willing, you're like, I'm ready to do this, but you forget one thing. What exactly are you going to say? What exactly are you going to teach? What exactly are you going to share? Man, that could be frustrating because sometimes the hardest part is just getting ready. So once you're ready, you're like, whoa, what's tripping me up? Here's the thing. You need to have a strategy to the content that you're creating. This is one of the most important aspects of creating video, is creating a strategy. Now, it doesn't have to be an advanced strategy. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't even have to be super well thought out, but it has to be a strategy. And simply what a strategy looks like is this. I sell real estate to low-income families who are trying to buy their first home. That's what I do. That's my profession. I'm a real estate agent, but I specialize in helping families who are on a fixed income buy their first home. Okay, now I got my niche all selected. I know exactly who I speak to. Now I start breaking down those words. I help low-income, fixed-income families purchase their first home. Okay, now I break it down. Low-income families. What are the things that low-income families need to know? What are the problems that they encounter? What are the struggles, the challenges? What are the internal, the external challenges that they're facing? What does success look like for them? How could I speak to that? What type of tools do they need along the way? What experiences have I had just like theirs that I can relate to them and share with them? So you start writing them all down, boom, 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 start making a list of them, Excel spreadsheet, Google Sheets, whatever you want, just start logging them. Then that starts to form your strategy. Okay, I know who it is that I'm talking to. Now I need to get the ideas and the concepts delivered to them. One of the biggest mistakes with this strategy, and I am notorious for making this mistake. I make this mistake all the time. The mistake is this, trying to cram too much into one video. That is almost always a recipe for disaster. You will almost always likely not finish it. And if you are somehow successful at recording that video, it is going to be a long time before that gets edited. Trust me, that's a whole nother job, and we're going to talk about that later in this series. But do not try to cram too much into one video. Keep it short, keep it concise, keep it specific and focused to one audience at a time with one objective, with one singular problem or idea or topic that you're trying to address. Don't do too many. Once again, I cannot stress this enough. Plus, it's also better to have a lot of short form content than one just long, comprehensive piece of content, especially when you're getting started. Because that short form content is going to act as signals that start alerting your audience of who you are and gravitating towards your message. In addition to that, you know what it's like when you see some content from somebody that stands out and you're like, man, I really like how he delivered that. I really like how she taught. I really like that perspective. That story, captivated me. I like this person. Let me go find out more about them. You go to their YouTube, you go to their page or whatever, and there's nothing else there. You're like, whoa, that sucks. Like, I really wanted to get to know this person. See, what you're doing is you're creating a better user experience for your audience. And that is extremely, extremely important. Now, I'll just throw this in as extra because I just thought about it right now. But one of the biggest questions that people always have is, should I change my shirt? Should I change, what if I sit down, record a long video, and make 10 videos out of that? Should I change? Should I show them that Listen, no, you're overthinking it. Way overthinking it. Some people actually that I know use on purpose the same shirt over and over. They have a shirt hanging up in their little studio, and every time that they're going to jump on and record a video, they put that shirt on. Why? Because it's branding. It's recognizable. It's like, yeah, that's the guy with the orange shirt. He always wears the orange shirt. That's the guy with the black shirt, right? The truth of the matter is this. Nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention that close to it. Like, oh my gosh, he wore an orange. That must have been the same. I'm clicking off this video. you're overthinking it. Wear the same thing over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. All right, so in the next video, we are going to discuss the essential gear. This is another area that causes people to get tripped up, but we are going to discuss the essential gear that you need in order to master video.